Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Aruna. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam, pranam. Hari Om. Pranam.
Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam, pranam, pranam. So yesterday, Papa made us to dwell on the source of all sources. Even if we hear it for 50 times, still it may not go inside. So repetitive hammering is necessary because right from our impressionable age we have not developed this train of thought. So it is, though we agree intellectually, it is difficult to start moving toward the experiential realm. In Papa's various books, he has touched upon this aspect, not in one. Yesterday we read out one quotation, powerful quotation from Glimpses. Try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. To arrive at this truth, you have to, by a systematized process of thought and discipline, transcend all human limitations set by the body, mind, intellect, and then, embarking on the realm of the spirit, realize your immortal, changeless, blissful nature. So origin. So when he gave us the powerful Ramnam, to be very frank, most of us did not know that it is to connect us with this source. Because only when we connect with the source, we will be able to identify the common factor in all of us. Only when the common factor is identified, our love circle will get expanded, we will feel closeness and affinity with every creation. That is why he said, when he said at the time of inauguration, universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity. So vision of divinity, each one can form their own opinion. But what Papa meant was, go to the source. Based on the vision of divinity stands for, first our intellectual knowledge about the source, and followed by our persistent efforts to experience the same. So Nama enables us to constantly remember. When Papa said he is the indwelling and all-pervading reality, we were all trying to understand it from the intellectual standpoint. When he said it's a subtle and mysterious power, To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms, because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Birthless and deathless is He is present in all things and in all creatures who only appear as separate entities due to their ever-changing forms. To wake up from this illusion of forms is to realize at once the unity or love of Ram. Love of Ram means love of all beings, all creatures, all things in this world. Because Ram is in all is in Ram, Ram is all in all. So that is why he wanted us to identify the common factor, and he gave the name Ram. So when we chant Ramnam, somehow he did not draw our attention to the first article of In Quest of God, which is his first book, where he elaborately discusses or defines about the Ram. He gave Ram, and he was thoroughly convinced about it. He immediately shared. This is the first article of Papa. First book is In Quest of God, and this is the first article which precedes chapter number 1. So that means this is the first article of Papa. Later on, so many books, so many compilations came. He himself authored the 4 books: In Quest of God, In the Vision of God, At the Feet of God, World is God. And the satsang talks were compiled and brought out in the form of God experience. Satsang, as well as his daily routine, daily talks, casual talks, that was recorded in Gospel, 3 volumes. And when he was on a foreign tour, 5 books entitled Ramdas Speaks, later changed to Lectures of Swami Ramdas. When he was on a North Indian tour, that book was compiled and brought out, Talks of Swami Ramdas. These are all the books but the first article is on Ram. And that is the common factor is brought out at the right from the beginning. But unfortunately, he did not draw our attention to that. That is why, though we are hearing all these things, we are still struggling. Another quotation we will read out. The path to the source of your and the world's being is not without. That means not outside. You have to go within yourself. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. You must traverse beyond your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions and tastes. And then alone you will have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. These are all our roadblocks. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. Beyond, okay. And traverse beyond all ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions, tastes. Then alone you will have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. The immortal root is also the root of all that exists. That is how the common factor is given to us. Vision of divinity. This immortal root also is the root of all that exists, the visible, the invisible worlds, all beings, all creatures in them. Now you realize that one common existence has evolved, the variety of manifestation observed all around you. Your perplexity is totally extinct. The knotty problems of your life are solved once for all. You know that you are one with all lives, one with the entire universe. Infinity is your true existence. Eternal bliss is your real nature. Birth, change, death are passing and playful events in your cosmic life and spirit. Your life, in tune with the infinite God, has now reached the heaven where everlasting felicity and peace dwells. In one word, you have realized your supreme Godhead. So we are trying to go through all these again and again and again so that we get stabilized, stabilized in our commitment. Nothing will dilute us. Nothing will dissipate us. Nothing will puncture our enthusiasm. Our root, our root, our root. So far I have been dealing with only the me and mine level, which is not the root. That is an offshoot of this existence. After 10 or 12 years or 13 years or 15 years, only this me and mine has developed in us in this form. But when we deal with men and matters, we start from there totally oblivious of our original root. Papa is now drawing our attention intensely on this aspect. Once again we will read that particular portion from Divine Life. The path to the source of your and world's being is not without, is not outside. You have to go within yourself. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. You must traverse beyond all your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions and tastes. Then alone you will have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. Because at the moment, why we, in spite of hearing this, we are not in a position to take the inward journey, Because he is now narrating the roadblocks one by one, ideas and ideals. Everything we built on, not on the root. Because we have not built on the basis of our foundation of our roots, everything we have formed so many ideas and ideals based on this otherness. So it keeps us away from the root. The other day when we were discussing, Ashram was involved very much totally directly in the field of value-based education. So on that occasion we used to collect a lot of anecdotes, not stories, anecdotes. We have a big bank, anecdotes. And first when the children come here we used to share this. It has got a magical effect because the moment it touches their heart, then they become one with the moment. Initially we started with camps. Evening they will come, till next day evening they will be with us. An army of teachers, 15 to 20 teachers used to come every weekend, and we used to have the Saturday evening, Sunday evening they will go. At that time we were sharing these anecdotes. First that is the problem, then only interactive sessions. So first one will be, we will go there normally, only opening and closing only we can go, otherwise we couldn't get time. So then first when we go, we used to share one anecdote and watch how it is received by them. 99.99 cases, it touches. And then, they become one with the moment. So many programs they join. Next day evening also we share this. Then later on we started wondering, why were we prompted to bring out these anecdotes? Because it touches the person to person, no? Somebody has done it and we have observed it, somebody has informed us. The other day we read out, in that newsletter, one anecdote of a retired teacher, you remember? A retired teacher near Calicut, not that. Retired teacher in Calicut district, not Calicut area. He goes there at about 9 o'clock. He has a vegetable shop. He goes there at about 9 o'clock or 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Opens the door. He doesn't close it. 24 hours the shop is open, even today. But he just puts the shutter, wooden shutter. It won't be locked. And when he goes there, it will be open. Wholesalers will come, place the vegetables there, farmers, and then they will say this much. He will give from the cash box, whatever. And he will sit there till 1 o'clock and goes away. Shop is open. People who want vegetable, they go there. There is a chart there, price chart. And then based upon, next day they will come, when he is there, they will come and give the money. So our Sridharan was with him one day. So Sridharan asked, how do you know that they are putting the correct money for what they have taken? Spontaneously the reply came, I don't distrust anybody. Moreover, even if they have forgotten something, after all they are taking it only for their food, And to be very honest, he said, there has never been a deficit. There has been only a surplus. And one more word he added. I live on my pension. To me, after I come back, I need a place to sit for some time and spend some time. Only for that purpose I have, not a commercial aspect. So such anecdotes, when we get, either our people have gone or somebody is informer or somebody, then we immediately share with others. Now in these anecdotes, when he says, I don't distrust people, he is stretching himself, The me and mine is not there. That is why children are impressed. So the basic things, all of us have got this, which we are not aware the moment the me and mine comes to play its role. Now we remember, but there the only thing is, when we share these such anecdotes, we are seeing a person with a broad-mindedness, with absence of otherness to some extent, selfless, and he is blissfully living. But we never connected up that this stands for God, This absence of otherness or absence of distrust comes from the presence of God. That we did not. Person to person we feel, no, he is good. But we don't see that God is there, that is why he was able to. And God stands for this, the common factor. So when the common factor is directly or indirectly experienced means the experiencer need not even know that he is experiencing it. But it becomes his svabhava, spontaneity. So in such cases we find an onlooker like us, if we also try to see that it is God expressing through that. Though we have read many a times, Papa used to mention this, when you are compassionate, you are playing the part of God. When you are loving, you play the part of God. When you are forgiving, you are playing the part of God. It all nice, remember and reproduce. But it doesn't get registered in our heart. Oh, this is godliness. Because we don't identify it as godliness, we limit to that particular person, that situation, that anecdote. No doubt it has got its own impact. But for a spiritual aspirant to have this impact, we also should define for ourselves that these are all godliness expressed. So unless we remove all these things that is opposed to this godliness, we will not be able to feel. This is what you must go past. Let me go beyond. your senses, mind, and intellect. You must traverse beyond all your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions, tastes. Everything is painted by me and my likes and dislikes, my rights and wrongs, my preferences, my priorities. That is your ideals, ideas. You must transcend all limits, conditions, tastes. Then alone you will have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. This immortal root is also the root of all that exists. When Papa Mataji have been hammering that unless you realize the self in you, you will not be able to feel the self in everybody. Initially, at the superficial level, individual to individual, we have developed love. We have developed contact. But are we conscious of the godliness in it? That is what is important. That is the root. Godliness is our root. Papa is now drawing our attention exclusively. This immortal root is also the root of all that exists, the visible and the invisible world and all beings and creatures in them. Now you realize that one common existence has evolved the variety of manifestations observed all around you. Your perplexity is totally extinct. The knotty problems of your life are solved once for all. You know that you are one with all lives. Absence of otherness. No? We remember Puja Swamiji telling us about Puja Mataji. So when somebody comes and says they have no house, Mataji will, in our language, borrow money and buy land and then construct houses, again with borrowed money, and then hands it over to that person. So when Mataji was asked, how are you going to clear this? She will say, that is all the department of Papa. So she used to say that only when such so-called labeled liabilities are there, I will have sound sleep. In our case, when we have liabilities, we will not have sound sleep, So we just took it casually and smiled, But when we keep on thinking it has come out because to her there is no borrowing, Taking it from one son and giving to another son. And she is confident that another son will come because God is behind everything. God is prompting her to take from one son and give to another son, and that is the responsibility of God. So that means when we find the godliness in all our material dealings, what is the outcome? Our reliance on it become total. What is the outcome? Blissful, peaceful. Many of the life incidents about her, about Mataji when we hear, we used to say, oh, how Mataji was gracious. It is not like that. She was trying to see the godliness. When Papa gave her 250 rupees before her Bombay trip, immediately she changed it to 5 rupee note and she started distributing. Papa has on a lighter vein said if Ramdas had stretched the hand, he also would have got it. He said she was distributing it like a puppet. All those things are nice to hear. But when I actually, to her, we don't have to carry some money, we have to, I'm going to Bombay, what will be the need, I don't know, so I must have this. No. She was feeling absolutely safe in God's hand at all times, And in 60s, when she got more than 6 to 7,000 rupees, all that she brought back and gave to Papa was only 500 rupees. Ashram was trying to make both ends meet at that time. But even then, to Mataji, it was not confined to Anandashram only. So when godliness enters, we are appreciating as an individual, no? That will not help us in our sadhana. When Papa narrated this and when it was recorded in God experience, none of us started viewing it with that angle. We all thought Mataji's reliance on God is total, that's all. And Mataji is selfless, that's beyond that we did not. But now we understand because we are unaware of the godliness within us and in others, Mataji brings out, and God made Mataji to bring out all these things and prompted somebody to record everything so that when we keep on reading it, we will try to see something beyond all these. The first line is, you must go past your senses, mind and intellect. Think. Now you realize that one common existence has evolved with a variety of manifestations observed all around you. So the naughty problems of your life are solved once for all. You know that you are one with all lives, one with the entire universe. Infinity is your true existence. Eternal bliss is your real nature. Birth, change, death are passing and playful events in your cosmic life and spirit. Your life, in tune with the infinite God, has now reached the heaven where everlasting felicity and peace dwells. In one word, you have realized your supreme Godhead. So when we read and try to do Manan, the first thing probably all of us can do is, while chanting Ramnam, we try to bring this dimension. You are making me to chant the name of you who is the root of existence, from where all of us have sprung forth. Kindly enable me to become aware of it. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Every now and then, suppose we intervene and auto-suggestion, make an auto-suggestion like this, probably we might slowly get ourselves stabilized in our path. It will never become a superficial chanting. We are now getting more and more clarity. When he said, my name is the link between us and him, name is the panacea for everything. All these words again now we are trying to go through with this background. One more quotation today we can take up. When the source is known and seen, we understand the true meaning of this life. When the source, capital S, is known and seen, experienced, we understand the true meaning of this life. Bereft of this knowledge, mankind is caught in the wilderness of discontent, hate, misery. The realization of immortal peace and freedom is at once individual and universal. Because the freedom of the individual makes for the freedom of the universal. Today every now and then we have students camp. So today a batch of students came from the Iqbal school. At the time of our lunch, Sridharan was sharing with us that the children were telling The moment we enter into this ashram compound, we feel peace, quietude. Nobody told them, no? School-going children. The realization of immortal peace and freedom is at once individual and universal, because the freedom of the individual makes for the freedom of the universal. The moment everybody started feeling that quietude, no? And probably one or two people must have come out and expressed. Life's values, therefore, are not to be set by the mere external rules, regulations, conditions, circumstances, but by an all-comprehensive knowledge of the great power which lies at its inception, beginning, root. Life's values, therefore, are not to be set by mere external rules and regulations, conditions and circumstances. As we were entering the hall, one devotee was telling, this is not an ashram with some muds and clay, or bricks. Something more than that. What is the dimension that should come to us? If we see only civil structures, we will be returning back with that feeling. Civil structures are there. Far from that. We always try to remember the ideal they represented. That is why this feeling comes without anybody telling. Something inexplicable, we cannot. So we are putting it in some words that God gives us, that's all. But that inexplicable feeling wells up in our heart. Not merely civil structures. So here he says, life's values, therefore, are not to be set by mere external rules, regulations, conditions, circumstances, but by an all-comprehensive knowledge of the great power which lies at its inception. What one should do or should not do is not what a true spiritual life dictates. It is from what vision and from what knowledge the life is regulated that matters. From the me and mind level or on a higher level. Beautiful. It is from what vision and from what knowledge the life is regulated that matters. So the first and foremost thing for everyone to do is to find out the immortal root of this being. And look upon the external life from the consciousness of this root. So the first and foremost thing for everyone to do is to find out the immortal root of this being. Where from I have come? What is my source? Because I did not know anything about it, I have projected a me and mine, and have been dealing with men and matters up to this, and I know what exactly it has produced so far. Think. So the first and foremost thing for everyone to do is to find out the immortal root of this being and look upon the external life from the consciousness of this root. Then life will adjust itself most harmoniously with all lives of all beings and creatures of this world. Because the root is the same, otherness will go. Even in external clashes, there will ring out the music of a subtle and universal harmony. Therefore, seek the truth within yourself. Stop not till you have reached it, until you have attained to the full knowledge of it, until you have made it one permanent basis for all your life's activities. Know the source and be free. Ah. Even in external clashes, there will ring out the music of a subtle universal harmony. Therefore, seek the truth within yourself. Stop not until you have reached it, until you have attained the full knowledge of it, until you have made it one permanent basis for all your life's activities. Know the source and be free. Highly subjective and highly subtle. So, from these three quotations of Papa, what gets registered in our mind? Let us go through that. For enabling us to pursue further internally. No? Kindly share. From these three quotations.
Swamiji,
Ah,
Swamiji,
yes.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
The origin of all,
Origin?
one and the same.
One and the same.
Origin of
All of us.
Origin, yeah.
one and all is the same.
Ah,
Therefore, all of us belong to one family.
ah.
So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a result of this concept of everybody coming from the same seed,
Same seed coming.
root cause, root seed. This is my submission, Swamiji.
That is what we have heard now. We have not raised ourselves, you know. Next moment we see otherness, you know.
Yes, Swami.
So Papa is pointing out through this, whatever we have said now. So now our effort should be keeping this in our mind. We will try to pursue as much as possible.
Yes, Swami.
Yeah.
Thank you, Swami.
Yes. Hari Om, Hari Om. Anything else from anybody?
Swamiji, what he has said I have not understood.
What you said.
Vivekananda ji, what he has said?
Vivekananda.
Not Vivekananda. That was somebody.
Yes.
Pakala,
Just now he
Patagira.
told something, no?
Oh,
I have not
Patagira.
no.
understood.
He said we all belong to the same root. We are all members of one family. That is the idea Papa is now highlighting.
Yes, correct.
So when we come to know this, our attitude towards problems. So now you see, when we deal with others' problem, our norms are changed. When we deal with our own kith and kin, the norms get changed, you know. Think about it. When we deal with others,
They are also root only.
Ah.
They are also root only.
correct. But we are not in a position to. There we try to at least expand to some extent to our kith and kin. If somebody comes and vomits here in this hall, we feel, you know, they should have informed, you know, the nausea coming immediately, we should have taken him. But if the person happens to be our father, mother, or elderly person, or a sick person, or our own child, we will not make that comment, you know. We will immediately rush up and immediately do whatever is possible to remove this and to clean this area without grumbling, without complaint. The norm gets immediately changed when it happens to be others. This we are seeing it. When others come, you know, the absence of otherness is not there. When our own people does it, absence of otherness is there. So this has to be stretched. Spirituality wants us to stretch ourselves. That means feeling the same attitude to anybody. When Mataji said, how do we know that we are progressing in our spiritual journey? She said, you have the same attitude. You should check up whether you have the same attitude as you have with your kith and kin and on the stranger on the street.
Yes.
Mataji gives it to the practical point,
Yes, she has told us that also.
Man on the street, but we did not understand, how to make it a reality in our life. We did not probe deep. We quote her, Mataji said this, Mataji said this. But now we realize it is not for quoting, she said. So that she is directing our attention how to reach that stage. I may not be able to go and embrace the whole world in one go. But I can try, because this is not merely theory. We have seen before us a concrete example of one who has scaled the heights. When we have shared all these things, one day Puja Swamiji was sharing, when Puja Swamiji was going to Mataji's room, somebody was waiting to see Mataji and she started telling some problem. And then after that Swamiji went inside and Mataji asked what was that, and Swamiji explained. So Mataji immediately says, so you have solved Ashram's problem. But what about her problem? When somebody comes and asks us something to be done, if we don't have, we will say something, you have to come later. That means we have solved Ashram's problem. Mataji immediately asks, what about her problem? So Mataji wanted us to view from their standpoint, not from our standpoint. That comes only because of otherness, Think. When we read these quotations, we call love, real love. Because real love stands for absence of otherness. Real love stands for absence of otherness. So all our spiritual discipline should ultimately zero to this, Yes, anything else? 3 quotations we read. Again we will read. Then again we will go for recap. First quotation. Try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. To arrive at this truth, you have to, by a systematized process of thought and discipline, transcend all human limitations set by the body, mind, intellect, and then embarking on the realm of the spirit. Realize your immortal, changeless, blissful nature. Second quotation, a little larger, bigger. The path to the source of your and the world's being is not without. You have to go within yourself. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. You must traverse beyond all your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions, tastes. Then alone will you have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. This immortal root is also the root of all that exists, visible, invisible beings, creatures in this world. Now you realize that one common existence has evolved the variety of manifestations observed all around you. Your perplexity is totally extinct. The knotty problems of your life are solved once for all. You know that you are one with all lives, one with the entire universe. Infinity is your true existence. Eternal bliss is your real nature. Birth, change, and death are passing and playful events in your cosmic life and spirit. Your life, in tune with the infinite God, has now reached the heaven where everlasting felicity and peace dwells. In one word, you have realized your supreme Godhead. It is a lengthy para. So we will try now to understand this again. Any point in this particular para? Any word? Inside. Yeah. You have to go within yourself. Because when we start trying to go to the root, we cannot explore it in the outside. We have to go deep within. When we close our eyes and chant Ramnam, when we hear the sound Ramnam, the sound comes from where? That we try to go. Anything else from this para?
Swamiji, Swamiji, the godliness is our root.
Godliness is our root. Good.
Abdin.
Then same.
ஆனா நம்ம திரும்பி நிறைய ஸ்லிப் ஆயிடுறோம் சுவாமிஜி. அதான் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. ரொம்ப நிறைய we are slipping more than how many percentage சொன்னாக்கா it's very like ashamed, like நான் சொல்லக்கூடாது. என்ன பண்றது?
We keep on trying, with the help of Ramnam. We keep on trying.
Okay.
First we should know,
Okay.
godliness. Papa himself says these words. A particular quotation, very nice to remember. Goodness is godliness is there book? No. So godliness, that we will try to understand what is called godliness. So that Papa wants us to look at any event or individual, any object from that standpoint, not from our standpoint. So we are unable to do it. We have understood it intellectually, we are unable to do it. So while doing Ramnam, we are now practicing. We are praying to him to give us the necessary mental background so that we will be able to view things from that angle. Please, we plead our inability to do it by ourselves. Why you have prompted me to chant Ramnam. You have prompted me to get myself connected to it. But what is happening is, probably I am not mature enough to understand your directions. So it stays there. I do chant Ramnam, I do enjoy, but this godliness is not connected. That is why as soon as the chanting session is over, I am back to square one. I won't say there is no progress, there are, but still I feel, when I hear all these things, I am unable to say that yes, to some extent we have moved toward this. Why are you giving me that feeling, please? Please enable me to view everything from this platform of godliness. And you have placed before us many Mahatmas. It's a proof, it's not a theory. It is possible. For a human being, it is possible. They have placed it before us. You made us to get in touch with them. You made us to observe them. You made us to derive some joy when we are with them. But at the same time, we find it difficult. Submission to God's will. When we say, why is it that godliness is not felt by us? Submission to God's will, a cheerful attitude towards all circumstances of life, positive, and to be engaged in blissful and selfless activity can be possible only when man is in intimate communion and oneness with him who is love and goodness. So goodness is godliness. Submission to God's will, a cheerful attitude towards all circumstances of life, and to be engaged in blissful and selfless activity. These are all the expressions of godliness. First and foremost thing is submission to God's will, not in my will. Me and mine is not there. God's will. Submission to God's will, a cheerful attitude towards all circumstances of life, and to be engaged in blissful, selfless activity can be possible only when man is in intimate communion and oneness with him who is love and goodness. So we can say goodness is godliness. Godliness, suppose the mind may interpret is something superhuman. Goodness is something at the human level. In order that we get the correct view, Papa has beautifully brought out this quotation. So how do I know I am moving toward that? These are all. Submission to God's will, a cheerful attitude towards all circumstances of life, and to be engaged in blissful, selfless activity.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hari, thank you, Swamiji. Very powerful message.
Very powerful.
We will try.
We will try. Today's take-home message. So, where are we now? So the second quotation was very, very long. The path to the source of your and the world's being is not without. You have to go within yourself. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. You must traverse beyond all your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions and tastes. Then alone will you have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. This immortal root is also the root of all that exists, the visible and invisible worlds and all beings and creatures in them. Now you realize that one common existence has evolved the variety of manifestations observed all around you. Your perplexity is totally extinct. The knotty problems of your life are solved once for all. You know that you are one with all lives, one with the entire universe. Infinity is your true existence. Eternal bliss is your real nature. Birth, change, death are passing and playful events in your cosmic life and spirit. Your life, in tune with the infinite God, has now reached the heaven where everlasting felicity and peace dwells. In one word, you have realized your supreme godhead. Yesterday evening, night, we were prompted to take these from different books. That means he is prompting us to go deep, deep, deep into this. Because this is the basis, this is the foundation on which our whole life is to be built. Whether you call it spiritual life or a worldly life. For the success of our life, we should build our whole life on this foundation. I remember one industrialist who is having about 3,000 employees, must be 2,000 to 3,000. Every time when we meet him, not now, about a couple of years back, there was a lot of ups and downs in the company's future. But he was not worried about him. He was always telling, what will happen to my employees? No? That means he is stretching himself to as many as possible, And Papa is also giving us the tools. We may not be able to stretch out entirely, but stretch out to the extent possible, We are in our family. Mataji always used to say, universal love and service should start from our own family. So when we identify with the ashram or institutions, there are so many people directly or indirectly connected with it. First we try to stretch ourselves to them. And then keep on adding one man. First, God has given us a field, to experiment this. We don't have to go out and then start saying, wherever we are, we have been given a circle with whom we try, so that whoever comes in our contact field, in our database, we are trying to find out whether we are in a position to stretch out. Are we merely entering in our database a name and address, or are we really stretching ourselves to them? So to the extent possible, so much so good. Because for us it may not be possible. Because our baggage is too heavy and always preventing us to do this, because the rights and wrongs will immediately come and say, no, what they are doing is wrong. No? I am right and you are wrong. No? So Papa, through this powerful quotation, makes us to go deep, deep into this. The first quotation, try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. And then he explains about this. Immortal root is also the root of all that exists. You must travel, you have to go within yourself. You must go past your senses, mind and intellect. You must traverse beyond all your ideas and ideals. You must transcend all limits, conditions and tastes. Then alone you will have the fullest vision and realization of your immortal root. Balance, we will take it up tomorrow. Enough food for our thought. So we try now with the help of Ramnam. Even when we chant for 5 minutes, if it is with this fullest concentration, Puja Swamiji has explained that though he was not chanting all the time, even if it is chanted for a short time, the impact of it which will remain with him for a longer time. We did not understand that first. So that means that this is what Papa also said to Puja Swamiji. If you chant Ramnam properly, you will not get any doubt. So this Nama stands for the root. When I go to the root, I will not have any problem. So again and again and again, Papa is asking us now to have more and more clarity while chanting, so that slowly we move towards the root. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. 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 Namaskaram. Hari Om. Pranam, pranam, pranam.
Pranam, Swamiji.